Hi, everybody. Welcome to our final Expressive Leaders Live session. So just to kick us off, we're going to play a little video just introducing the different students in this program. But in this session, you'll hear from 4 of them in particular. If you joined previous sessions, these are 4 different students. So just to clarify that. And yeah, without further ado, thank you so much for joining and showing your support to these amazing young people.
What I hope for is a world filled with equality, justice, kindness, and happiness for everyone.
What I hope is for students to learn how to use their voice to achieve their academic and personal goals.
What I hope for is to inspire.
What I hope for is to create awareness for the people in need so we can work together to have a better community.
Our world needs leaders that are willing to act in the face of injustice and further better the world in any way possible.
Our world needs leaders who are willing to speak up, who aren't afraid to talk about issues that matter to them.
Oh, I'm a student, and I believe that the world needs a leader who is able to listen to both the voices of minorities and majorities alike, both abled and disabled alike, both young and old alike, because one way or another, they shape today's society, and their voices need to be heard, because each and every one of our opinions matter.
In my community, the change I would like to see is greater acceptance and discussion over conflicting perspectives and experiences from people with different backgrounds, and the validation of those experiences, especially when it comes from youth or other people whose voices have been suppressed.
In my community, a change I'd like to see is more opportunities for youth to grow outside of the classroom, especially more opportunities that allow youth to be active in their communities and for youth to take advantage of those opportunities.
The change I want to see in my community is a bigger investment in education. The youth, me, my generation is the next generation to lead. And if you guys want us to lead well, we have to have a good education.
All right. So if you're just tuning in, we are the Expressive Leaders Program through the nonprofit, The Practice Space. It is a nonprofit that helps people build confidence and communication skills, and also it elevates underrepresented voices when you can build those skills and feel confident and actually feel like you can use your voice for good and positive change in the world. So this particular program is 13 different leaders. They're brand new to leadership for the most part, ages 9 to 17. And over the last couple of months, they've been working together with a mentor to do a project in their community. So they identified a problem and then they worked together to manage a project to be able to make some kind of change of their choice. So you'll see some variety here today. We have in this session, we have 2 of our seniors, Amber and Saif, representing Davis. We have Siddarth representing San Jose, and we have Mercy representing Vallejo, all high school students. So without further ado, let's kick it off and send it over to Mercy, who's going to talk about her project, doing a media project. So Mercy, why don't you kick it off with us?
Okay. Wait, it says that you disabled screen sharing. Okay. Hello, my name is Mercy, and this is the Young Voices Project. What is it? First of all, you have to ask, what is the problem today? The problem is that youth aren't getting their voices heard. moving on. What is the Young Voices Project? The Young Voices is a safe platform where young people can share their ideas and voice freely. And by safe platform, I mean no judgment or criticism whatsoever. And by young people, I mean the youth of today. It is a channel where I ask opinions and questions on different topics, seeing different views. My story. I have a friend whose uncle didn't let her share her opinion because she was too young or didn't know anything. And I have been in a lot of debate competitions where controversial topics are being said and I can't say anything about it, or I feel like I can't do anything about it because I'm a youth. And a lot of people feel the same way, a lot of young people like me. So my project is to change that. I am someone with a lot of opinions. I have met a lot of young people like me, but we don't know where to share our opinions. My project changes that. It gives a free space for opinions to be said and heard, and ideas to be made. My mission. My mission is to inspire kids to speak up and know the power in their voice. Like Shepard Fairey said, creating is about sharing ideas, sharing aesthetic, and sharing what you believe in with other people. Nobody just sits down and automatically creates something. Most things that were created have been created because multiple people stand up and say their opinion or say their problems, and someone finds a solution about it to it. And that is what creating is all about. Setbacks and how I overcame them. COVID-19. COVID-19 was a huge setback because I didn't know what I was going to do with my project, because I couldn't film, I couldn't go to people, and we had to be quarantined. So to solve that issue, I had to tell people to send me their videos saying their opinion, and it worked out. Another major problem I had is not having people and not being able to reach out to people. It was a huge problem. I had it all throughout my project, and to solve this, I went to social media and basically got people that way. This is a little preview of what my project looks like.
I feel as if men should not have a say in this conversation whatsoever.
I think this question is related to provide a college education.
My achievements. I have made 2 videos, one on college and one on abortion, on my YouTube channel. These are my top social networking sites. I have a TikTok account, Instagram, and YouTube. Please go follow me on all of those at The Young Voices. Thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, you can email me, or any ideas, or if you know someone who wants to be in the video, or who is a youth and feels that their voice isn't being heard, you can email me at theyoungvoices@gmail.com, or you can DM me on Instagram, TikTok, or comment on my video on YouTube. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you, Mercy. If you're just tuning in, we are the Expressive Leaders Program through the Practice Space, a nonprofit in the Bay Area, and students are presenting their projects that they're doing in their community. So if you just heard Mercy's presentation about the Young Voices Project, type into the chat, encourage her with more, with your own words of encouragement, or you can ask her questions, which I can read out as well. And also, if you have had your own experiences where you feel like your voice wasn't important enough and you wanted to speak up, I think it helps for young people to be able to hear that they're not alone, and that other people have those experiences as well. Before we go on to the next presentation, I'm curious, Mercy, when you were reaching out to people, did you get people encouraging you to speak up? And if so, what did they tell you?
Not really. People weren't really, well, people weren't really encouraging me. I guess they were encouraging me, but then I don't know. It's like they encouraged me but didn't want to do anything about it, if I can say it. Yeah, like they were encouraging me but didn't want to play any part in it. So it was just a one-way street.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's an important point. Sometimes it's like, people will say that your voice is important, but you wanted them to become like a deeper part of it. So hopefully people can join you here and give you some of those words of action and be part of your project. Thank you so much for sharing that. And just looking at some of the comments so far, there's a lot of words of encouragement for you, Mercy. They love your presentation. Angelina says it's great to hear the voices of youth in our community. Christy Kuntz, so proud of you all. So yes, keep sending in those words of encouragement. It's important, I think, when you're doing a project for the first time to know that people are out there. So thank you for sharing that, Mercy.
Thank you.
All right, so moving to our next presenter, we have Siddarth, who will be telling you a little bit about his podcast. So go ahead, Siddarth, take it away. I'm excited to hear his presentation because podcasts are a lot of work. While Siddarth is getting all set up, a couple of other comments. Christy Kuntz says, Mercy, you are not alone. I think the silencing because of age even happens in families. I have experienced it in school and even workplaces when I was a younger person. It's hard to break those barriers, but you're the beginning of a movement too.
Thank you.
Okay, Siddarth. Thanks for your patience.
Okay. Anyway, like until the presentation goes up, I just want to say like a few things about my project. So, okay, it's coming up. But so hi everybody. My project is podcast that I'm calling Time's Up, and it's going to be a public. I'm envisioning it as a public space for discourse on certain issues. So my initial inspiration for the project was I realized that some of the issues that we commonly perceive of as important in the moment often get shoved to the wayside in future years because I don't know, they're not as sensational or they're not as like eye-catching. So I want to focus on societal issues that I felt weren't getting enough coverage in the modern news. So topics like climate activism, school unions, homeless shelters, etc. I sent requests, and I made a base script. This was all last year. But then probably the pandemic hit, and that's when I decided to shift my direction of the podcast a little bit. Not fully, but I myself was feeling overwhelmed in school over these few months because of the combination of the school and work environments and things like that, along with the pressure of APs. And I just came to realize that people aren't talking about this enough. And I wanted to focus on the pandemic because it's a modern issue, and I feel like I felt like it should be talked about, as it's immensely relevant to our lives. So this served as the basis for my first episodes. Pandemic in relation to education, and then the workplace. Exactly. And I have an excerpt from my first episode right here. Do you think that it'll be harder for people to get back into a regular mode when school does reopen in person?
That's an interesting question, because I have thought a lot about that, not just in the school context, but just life in general.
Right.
I wonder, the longer this takes, is it going to be much harder for people to sort of reacclimate or refamiliarize themselves with the ways that we used to interact with each other and just be, right, in the world? And I think it's probably going to be a little bit tougher than it normally would be. So the beginning of any school year is always a little bit awkward, and people are still getting to know each other and getting to know the teacher. But I think if this goes on for too much longer, it's going to have that added aspect of just readjusting to life outside in general, in addition to familiarizing yourself with your classmates and your teacher and all that. So I mean, I certainly hope that it doesn't go for another year.
Yeah, so that was part of a conversation I had with my English teacher about how best to reopen schools in the future once the crisis officially does end. And to sum things up, over the course of this year, I've figured out and learned about different skills needed to develop a podcast. It initially seemed very daunting, but I think it's been a fun ride so far, and I hope I can. And I'm looking to publish soon and hopefully develop new episodes. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Sid. So there are a couple comments already on the Facebook thread. Sid has a unique, chill, and soft style of presentation, emotional and conversational. I am a fan. Another one, I appreciate your honesty, Sid. Everyone I've spoken to has been feeling the same way. Thank you for being that outlet. So you mentioned that you felt overwhelmed at times, and that especially with the pandemic, it was hard to get through those obstacles, all the things that you were feeling. And so I'm just curious, especially since a lot of us are feeling this way, I think, what helped you get through that feeling of being overwhelmed and still able to push through?
I think and this is something I touched upon with both my teachers as well, but you need to, if you don't separate your school and home environments, then you're obviously going to feel overwhelmed, because that's
All right, we missed a little bit of that at the end. I think your connection a little bit, but I appreciate just the fact that you were able to, be able to keep that focus, as you were mentioning. So moving to our third presenter, we have Amber Crenna-Armstrong, who has done a lot of leadership in her community, but I would love to hear a little bit more about this particular project. And as she's getting set up, as a reminder to everyone, we are the Expressive Leaders, and you know, it's really hard to be able to go live like this, and so for students for the very first time. So please type in your encouragement, type your questions after the different presentations, and we can read those out loud, or even just type in any related experiences you might have. So without further ado, here's Amber.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Amber Crenna-Armstrong. Oops. My name is Amber Crenna-Armstrong. I'm 17 years old. I just graduated from high school in Davis, California, and I'm here to talk to you all about the importance of activism in youth and the importance of adults and other youth supporting kids to become activists. All right, so a little bit of my own experience. When I was a kid, I had a lot of personal anxiety and things that I went through that I didn't really know how to talk about. And later on, as I kind of developed my voice, I also developed a lot of other things I was passionate about. And I think I always really felt the need to talk about it and share my own perspective and also my views with other people. And so as I got older, I started to get more involved in public speaking, but also with social justice. So one of the biggest things that I've done as a leader in my community is I organized a climate strike last September, September 20th, as part of the global climate strikes that were happening at that time. And that was a really great way that I found an outlet to engage with my community on something that I'm really incredibly personally passionate about. And then some of these other things are ways that I, in my school with the Social Climate Committee, I helped try and promote social justice at my school. And then I also spoke at an international conference called the Behavior, Energy, and Climate Change Conference. And all of those experiences, I think my biggest takeaway was that it's so important it was important for me, but I think for all youth to see other leaders, youth leaders, to help them foster their own voice and really get involved. And that's when I really started to have a passion for promoting youth voice and others' perspectives. All right, so these are some pictures from some of the past climate strikes in Davis that I helped organize. So we had the first primary one on September 20th, but then we also had a big one on September 27th, and then also December 6th. And in addition to that, a small group of youth have actually been striking every Friday in Davis, which has been really incredible. And it's a testament to how great and powerful youth activism can be. And I actually have a video here. I'm only going to show you guys like 20 seconds because I'm trying to keep this short, but please visit the Climate Strike Davis YouTube channel if you want to see more of our content. So here we go. All right, so when I started this project, I had a lot of different goals, but I think my main goal was to train youth to become activists. I think it was really instrumental for me to be able to see other youth speaking up in their communities, but I also think it was a really hard journey, and I really want to help other youth become more comfortable becoming activists in their communities. And that includes learning how to public speak, but it also includes learning how to interact with their community and with community members, with city officials and school officials, learning about the issues really in depth, and a lot of that sort of logistic things that I learned along the way, but I really want to help train other youth to be able to do it all at once so that they can just get out there and be activists. So the first thing that I wanted to do was started working with my city government after the climate strike in September to form a youth commission, so that youth voice could actually be a permanent part of our city council and our city government. And then I also started coordinating the creation of a youth task force because my city is revising their climate action and adaptation plan. And I really wanted, and the city officials also really wanted to have youth voice be a part of that. And then kind of as things progressed, and especially after quarantine, there are some setbacks and I'll talk about that later. My goals kind of shifted, and I still really wanted to promote youth voice, but the avenues with the city weren't really possible. And then also with all of the current events that were happening, I and a lot of youth in climate strike started getting active in the Black Lives Matter protests that are happening right now. And so that has kind of shifted our attention in addition to climate action, but focusing on social and racial justice as well is also a really big, I really want to focus on that in my next action. And the biggest thing that I'm planning on doing is hosting summer camps this summer for youth. And one of them is going to be racial and social justice focused, and the other will be climate justice focused. So the pandemic really did pose some threats kind of to the way I was working. It was really hard to communicate with my city officials after the pandemic, which isn't surprising, and I don't blame them because they had a lot to do, but it also meant that I had to shift my focus away from the city and more towards Climate Strike Davis, which is the organization that I created for the climate strikes in September. The biggest thing that I learned was to be persistent, especially with myself, because I think a lot of us have that feeling when things get hard that it's easy to give up. And so I wanted to be able to allow myself some time to adjust and to look at myself, but also continue to take action. So these are some of the recent protests that we did. The quarantine also stopped our weekly Friday protests, which really sucked, but about a month ago, we started protesting again every Friday with social distancing in place and masks, and it was really powerful for me because it showed that youth in these times can still be activists and can still speak out against the things that are unjust in our world. And so here are some pictures from this one. You can kind of see me in the corner. This is from our Black Lives Matter protest that we did a couple weeks ago. All right, so in the future, I hope to continue the youth strikes, both for climate justice and Black Lives Matter. And then I'm also planning on hosting the 2 summer camps. So the first one is race and social justice based, and it's been coordinated. I've been involved in the planning, but it's really been coordinated by some really incredible community leaders, which are youth, but also parents. And then the other one that I'm a little bit more involved in is a climate and justice and climate change awareness and activism training camp that I'm actually planning on hosting with some college students from UC Davis, who are really great activists and who are going to be really helpful and make the camps really great. And in the future, I still really hope to get a youth commission and a task force for the city, and hopefully we can continue that action after quarantine or during quarantine. All right, so thank you for watching. I have a lot of contacts, especially for Climate Strike Davis, but if you are interested in, you're a youth and you want to help plan, I know this might be hard if you don't live in Davis, but hopefully some of the summer camp material will be online. So if you're interested in still being involved, it's totally okay if you don't live in our community. Just email one of these emails or check out our website, our Instagrams, and our Facebook. And please just continue fighting for what you're passionate about, especially if you're a kid. And I just want you all to know that your voices can be heard and all of your voices are valid. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Lots of great positive comments on the Facebook page. Adela Darrow says, great work, Amber. Susan has had a couple of comments. Amber, youth activism at its best. So important to protect our earth. Our generation has failed in many ways. This makes me feel that our future is now in better hands with youth like you. And Angelina says, it's great that you mentioned the struggle of anxiety in the youth experience. I'm glad that finding your voice and passion helped you become an activist on such important topics. Great idea to work on making youth voice a part of the civic platform in your community. I think, it's really important, so we'll hear our last speaker, Saif, but just to stay on you for a little bit, Amber, I'm just always so inspired by the energy that you put into your work and the passion that you put into your work. And so I'm just curious, now that you're going to college, how you're planning to stay in touch, but also take some of these activities to a new place.
Yeah, it's been really kind of a wild ride. Climate Strike Davis has super evolved since I first started it, which is crazy and insane, and I'm so happy. And so yeah, the biggest struggle recently has been trying to figure out how it can continue now that I'm leaving for college in the fall. So the first thing that I'm hoping to do is bring some formal structure to the organization. And actually some adults recommended making it a 501c3. I don't know, some organization that's like actual really formal. And I'd actually really like help with that. So if anyone has experience with that, you probably do, Anne-Marie.
Yes.
But yeah, just bringing something so that it can sustain without me, and bringing in more youth leadership so that we can continue working and having the youth voice be really present. Yeah, so I'm excited. I think it'll work out.
I think so too. So we're going to our last presenter. So Saif, you can start sharing your screen, but if you are joining us, thank you for all the comments that are going on the wall. Keep adding to those. Feel free to ask questions or share your own experiences, or just give encouragement to our youth leaders. So we have our final presentation now, Saif Younis, also from Davis. You might be.
I was muted there. Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. My name is Saif Younis. I recently graduated from Da Vinci Chartered Academy in Davis, California, and I'm going off to Cal Poly in the fall. So I'm really excited about that. And for the past few months, through the Expressive Leaders, I've been working on a project called Davis Vision 2020. So what is Vision 2020? Originally, the event was planned to be held. It was planned to be a physical event held in Davis, California, specifically at my high school. And it was going to be organized by a group of high school students, including myself. And the actual event itself was going to be open to the public and was going to consist of a lot of talks, live music, debates, discussions, and workshops. A lot of these had to do with community-centered topics and issues. And because it was organized by a group of high school students, a lot of these aspects of the event were going to be driven by youth and be presented by members of the youth. And then as time went on, and since COVID-19, the event had to be canceled, sadly. The school limited all public events, and after that, it just left everyone at home. And currently, Vision 2020 is not over yet. It's currently in the process of being transitioned into an online website where all of these different components that were going to be at the in-person event are going to be transferred into different online resources and videos that were going to be made by our actual planned speakers and guests at the event. So why did I decide to start Vision 2020? Currently, in my own perspective, when I look out into the world, I can see a clear disconnection between adults and the youth. Adults have a lot of voice that they can give out to the world, and they have a lot of power when it comes to changing things that need to be changed or solving issues. The youth have that motivation, however, don't always have that same platform. Their voice tends to be unheard, and is not always listened to by a large percentage of the population. They look at the way the world works and just want to bring change into it. And in modern day society, we need to strengthen this bond and kind of get rid of this disconnection in order to bring forth solutions to issues affecting the world today. And through Vision 2020, it will be a platform will be given to the youth and different members of the community whose voices tend to be unheard, allowing them to benefit their communities and bring change and share ideas where they see fit. So currently, as I mentioned, the actual project is being transitioned to a website, which is actually live right now. And it will act as a resource to the Davis community mainly. However, I hope that it will be accessed by the greater area and greater communities. The actual website is going to be continuously updated with more content. So more videos, more blog posts, stuff like that. And as I mentioned, similar to the event, a lot of the different topics are going to be community oriented and going to be driven by the youth. And the same thing will be applied to the website, where a large amount of the content is still going to be focused around different community issues and sometimes more general stuff going around the world we live in. And this platform is going to give students, and not only students necessarily, but kids of all ages, a way to have their voice heard. The website itself, currently I'm working on adding a lot of more features to it. We only have videos right now, but I'm hoping that I can work with local organizations to advertise their work, and we can like push out local events. I'm also planning to host some live streams on this website and have some blogs and forums alongside the current videos that we have posted on the website. And so we currently have a few featured topics ranging from a large variety of ideas and fields. We have stuff about climate change, youth and government, supporting students, so like how parents can help students through school, student voice, family life, the importance of STEM, the importance of art, significance of technology and education, and a lot more topics, and many more to come actually. And these are actually topics that I think really fit with the overall style of the website, the overall message, because these are things that you see a lot of people fighting for nowadays, including things like social justice, now popularly, as Amber was talking about, climate change. All of these are things that people really care about nowadays. So seeing kids come out and share their voice is really moving and shows that they want change to be brought to the world. Now these following pictures are just snapshots of what the website looks like right now. As you can see, we have our homepage, and we also have more about the actual organization, resources such as these. These are the current video resources we have up on the website. Then we also have contact information if you want more information on the organization itself. And a lot of the videos we have up right now are actually made by students from the Distinguished Speakers, which is a group that I'm a part, or was a part of during school, starting my junior year. And it's a group of students that meet every other week. Anne-Marie was one of our coaches, as well as a UC Davis student. His name was Ryan. And we met to talk about different forms of public speaking and just wanted to practice that. And then we went into advocacy and we held events. And the videos we have on the website right now, you can see what we worked on and kind of learn more about that, but then also learn more about other topics going around in the world right now. So yeah, that's about it. I really appreciate you guys giving me the time to talk about my website. The link is right there. You can just look up davisvision2020.weebly.com and it should pop up. So yeah, thank you guys.
Yay, thank you, Saif. Fun to hear about the Distinguished Speakers team. That's where I met Amber and Saif and started working up in Davis with practice-based work. So a couple of great comments. Susan, thank you so much. I love your note of thanks to me. That's always nice to hear. Appreciate that. But she also said, Saif, Vision 2020 has a great platform. Keep on working to change the disconnection. I have stronger faith in a good future with youth leaders like you. Another comment, I love the name for this, Vision 2020, Saif. What a great idea to connect youth and adults to better understand and work together on making changes in the community. I'm glad you pivoted this event to online and didn't let the current crisis prevent this important project from moving forward. I also, echo that statement. I'm really inspired by the fact that you guys, all of you, and you talked about it in your presentation, you took a moment to grieve and mourn, and it was really hard, especially for those of you in your senior years, but you didn't let it stop you from talking about the things that you care about. And so I guess I'm curious, like, what has it been like being a leader sheltering in place? Does it change what you think a leader means? Or if it doesn't change, just say a little bit more about why that doesn't change.
I think for me, like the whole moral side of it, of being a leader, someone who just wants to bring change and share their voice, but also give voice to the unheard. So that can definitely still be done. In the current circumstances we have. We've seen it with the Black Lives Matter protests going around the world. People are still going out there and trying to fight for what they believe in, which to me shows that it's still there and it's still strong and prevalent. But like I can clearly see why people have to adapt to everything given the current circumstances and what's going on. Being a leader now is not what it's been like being a leader in the past few months, or like 4 months ago, 5 months ago. It's been really different because there's a lot of stuff you can't do anymore. Like, not really in the sense of like, oh, you can't go outside or do stuff like that, but like it's really, your resources become very limited in these current situations, because there's not that many people going out there and kind of I don't know how to word it, but just not, they're kind of scared to go out there because I think right now there's this stigma going around like, oh, let's just not bring up anything else and just sit back and we'll let this pass. But I think in these current situations, given what we're experiencing, I think people still need to fight for what they believe in, no matter what that is, because these times are like, not an event like this is never going to pass by again. Like, we're not going to experience something like this, hopefully, anytime soon again. So it's kind of also a learning experience to understand how we deal with fighting for what we believe in with being stuck at home, really.
Yeah. How about others, Mercy or Sid or Amber? What has it been like being a leader, sheltering in place, and what does it mean to be a leader?
It's been hard switching over to online, because you just have to change everything. You have to think of new ideas, try to get people without actually meeting them, and it has been hard. But then if you're really persistent and want to keep going, and you know that you're a leader and you want to change things, you're still going to continue, and you're still going to try to do the best you can. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. And then for others, I guess what advice, if any, do you have for other youth leaders who either might be watching or that you might talk to in the future? What advice would you give them about leadership?
Definitely, it might seem like there's no possible option in the moment, especially when you're under something as like big as stay-at-home orders covering the entire nation. But like when you're pushed against the wall, you find that like everybody has a sense of determination that gets unlocked in that time, and it honestly doesn't matter that much. We could still talk to people. We're doing it right now. I mean, this was supposed to be a live event, right? But yeah, things aren't as bad as they seem. I think we have to remember that.
Yes, thank you.
I think everyone has kind of an invisible wall before them. And I think you can see it a lot with people who feel like they really want to do things, but they also feel like they can't. And I think for me, especially when I first started to become a leader, I kind of realized that wall doesn't exist. I think I imposed it on myself, you know? And I think just realizing that you can do anything that you like think you want to do. Like there's barriers, there are physical barriers that especially right now can be hard to overcome. But I think what the pandemic has shown, especially with like youth leaders, is that really I think the only thing stopping you is yourself. And I also wanted to say though that another thing that I think the pandemic has brought about is it's shown that it's okay to take time for yourself too. In times of struggle, and you can still be a leader while taking care of yourself. And it's okay if you haven't done that much. That doesn't mean that you're a bad leader, that you're not doing anything, and that you can't do anything in the future, because you can. And the time is like, it's always the time to be a leader and to take action. And I just want to encourage all of you, if there's something you want to do, then you should do it. There's nothing stopping you. And I'm sure that you'll find that there's so many people out here that'll support you and help you in achieving what you want to achieve.
Thank you so much, Amber, and for all of you guys for your persistence, but also your sense of hope and care. You know, just a little side story. Whenever we met together in person, but also even online, this group of leaders, these 4, but also all 13 of them, really just always kept defining leadership as being able to help and support and be there alongside people and empower people and help them own the course of their lives. And we've heard that a little bit more today in these presentations, but thank you so much for attending, for typing in comments. These live events will be stay recorded on our Facebook wall, and so please follow us on Facebook, and you can keep typing in comments if you have another message for these students. They'll be able to see these afterwards, so even if they weren't read out loud, the students will be able to see this. But thank you so much, Amber, Sid, Saif, and Mercy. And thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you.